Cool. Todd Lawson, thanks for coming on my show, man.
Dude, thank you so much.
Yes, this is round 2.
Yes, round 2. Stoked to be here again.
Yeah, last time you were here, we had like the gray, wrinkly backdrop, and I think we're facing the other way. Yeah, it's getting beat up, but I like how it looks like it's actually real.
It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Legit.
Yeah, we're firing it back up again. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's great, and we got a few things to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, we were just talking about Merlin's and some of the party times in Whistler and stuff, and how kind of Merlin's always kind of used to always go off, and it was going off when I saw you there tonight.
Yeah.
I didn't see you there, but yeah. You been out much, or we talked about it a bit, but I mean, like, is that one of the first times you've been out in a while, or what?
Well, to Merlin's, it's been a first time for a while.
Yeah. Nice.
And I was just thinking, like, I just love this town. Like, I love this town. I love the people who make this place tick.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a good vibe, you know, when you go out. Like, it was a birthday. It was my friend Corinne's birthday.
Yeah.
We went skiing.
Yeah.
It was puking up there. We came down, and then, you know, the hair farmers kick in, and boom, it's just like gets to another level. And it's like, if I wasn't doing this podcast right now, I'd probably be like still. But it was like, you know, I was telling someone there today, it was like there was people just like on the chairs, dancing, singing, having a good time, and not having to worry about like a bouncer saying, "Oh, get off your chair," you know. So that's what I just hope that keeps Whistler going. Like, just keep that alive and keep the soul. I really care about this place, and I want the soul to just be like thriving, and just like people's hearts need to shine, and just let this place go and keep going. You know, that's why I like you. I like what you do, because you interview like the soul of this town.
Sure,
just, like, people, everyday people just doing their thing.
Yeah.
And I love it. So good job.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. I think that too, like, as we get older, like, you know, I'm 45 now, and you don't go out as much, or we were talking earlier about how you kind of, you know, work from home, or you kind of work in more of a solitary kind of environment. And that stuff is still going on. But as we remember, it might be different. But then we get those sparks or those moments when you go like, oh man, this reminds me of the day, you know, like when I was just pumping everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it still happens, I guess. But, you know, if we can talk about, I don't want to talk about it, but sometimes some things suck the soul out of a town, or it's trying to, or not just trying to, like, you know, suck the money out, I guess. But there's still those hotbeds, and there's still those times where it goes off. And I think it's just changed. But a long time ago, Lisa Richardson asked me, I think when Vale first bought the place, and I'm going to cut that out, but she's like, you know, what do you think about what's going on? And I was like, I was kind of cynical at the time. I was like, you know, the oasis is gone. And I shouldn't have said that, but I said, you know, it's still going to snow when it snows. The mountain's still there. But this oasis that people thought was here was gone, but it's still here. Yeah. And I've learned that in the last little while, that people still doing what we did, or what we still do, but we don't do it as much because we have other responsibilities going on. But when you get to go out and you see it again, you're like, man, it takes you back fast.
Yeah.
Like, it takes you back real quick to what was going on when we were, you know, 20.
Yeah, 30. And there's still people, like, there's probably someone that arrived in Whistler today.
Yeah.
That will probably be here in 20 years from now.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
It's just like, and it's just that cycle of Whistler, the cycle of life, you know, like it is a transient town, but there's so many people that make this place home.
Yeah.
And I think that people that come here from outside don't really realize that. You know,
well, they don't get to see it, I guess, right?
We always get that question. It's like, oh, you live here? Like, you actually live here? You know, it's like, yeah, we live here. There's
we do.
You know, there's places all the time. There's house parties going on. There's backyard parties and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, that's the soul that I want, that I hope really just stays alive, you know?
I think so. I think there's a place called Eagle Drive in Whistler, right across from like the village there. I think that street still has the soul. Yeah. There's still house parties there. It's still going on there. Yeah. But yeah, I think I went to a house party not long ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot, like, it's bumping, something's getting wrecked. Yeah. Someone's going to get lit up for it. You know, it's going to be like, this is a problem. But I'm having a good time, and it's not my house, and I'm not going to trash the place. But yeah, those house parties back in the day, even now, it was good, man. I don't know who started it soon, but there's a Facebook group called Whistler in the 90s or whatever that's coming out right now. I think it's like Skip Taylor maybe started it. And I wasn't here in the 90s, but I know some of the folks who are here, and they've, you know, like athletes and stuff like that, and just seeing their photos pop up, I'm like, man, those photos, like, you know, like in Creekside, the old ghetto and the old 8 Mile stuff. And he's like, man, that was like just kind of dirtbagging it, but it wasn't even dirtbagging. That's just the way it was.
Yeah.
I miss that stuff. I missed it. I remember living in staff housing and just being like, we're going to fucking rage. Just see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, you know, this was like pre-cell phone days. And I made a comment the other day on one of those Whistler 90s posts, and I said, not a cell phone in sight. And it was just like, seeing all these people talking to each other. Yeah. And, it's just like, we've lost that a bit for sure. There's no, we can't deny that. Yeah. Like you've lost that. Like sure. Everyone's connected. You walk into a restaurant and there's like 8 out of 10 people on their cell phones. Like, so I hope people kind of, I don't know. I just hope that somehow that comes back where people, I hope there's parties that you go to where you're not allowed to bring your cell phone. Like I've thought about that. There should be. Good idea, just like, fuck that. Like leave that thing at home for one night of your life that you're going to be okay. Unless you're expecting a baby, leave it at home.
There was a lady who posted asking about consent, and I don't know who she was or but it's fun. But she was like, are you okay with people posting your photo if you haven't consented to this? Because these photos were like scanned, film photos, and you're like, you're doing something. There could be like some stuff on the table on a plate or whatever. You're like, don't want seen, but like, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And now it's just like free reign. It's like you take a photo, it's like, and then you quick to post it because you're just trying to get it out there and show people what you're doing. Yeah, but. Man, I remember just like blueberry parties and stuff. Just like shit, it's like and those houses have to be rebuilt after a few years.
Yeah. I get where she's coming from. I saw that post too because it's like, maybe some people don't want that to be seen nowadays, right? Because at the time, this stuff we got away with without being on social media, like people are getting canceled now.
Well, they could be a doctor now or something, and they're like just someone showing a picture of them like just walking around.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. But I think getting to talking about that, it's like. When you're talking to you, it's like the documentation of it needed to happen. I think we document a lot more of this town, but the documentation is a bit more shallow now because it's happening so much. Where like when you see a gem of a photo, you're like, oh yeah, that was that house I went to, and I made it here for 20 years now too, and it seems like that seems outrageous to me. It's been 20 years.
Well, it's like when I was studying photography, there was a really good instructor, and he had a class. And it was the whole theme of the class was the power of a snapshot. Okay. And working for Mountain Life for almost 18 years now and being the photo editor, and I've seen these thousands of like perfectly, really good action shots and all this action stuff. And then you see this one photo or, like many photos we see, but photos with soul. Yeah. Photos that tell a story, just in these snapshots. It's like it doesn't have to be technically perfect at all, but those are the kind of shots that I want to see in the mag more because it's almost like more of a photojournalistic style, it's like fly on the wall stuff. Yeah. It's not like, do this 6 times and we'll get the best shot, right? Yeah. It's just like, boom. Well, that was back in the day. It was like, there's no digital like right? It's like
and no doing it again. It's like I did this.
No doing it again. Yeah.
Exactly. The funny part was funny thing is like you see like a photo of like an old house with 4 guys on a couch, just like partying. Like man, it's just like there's a bit of history there. You see like a guy who was a snowboarder or skier, and you're like, oh, that's so and so. That's 30 years ago. Yeah. And they're just like on some dirt bike couch cooking hot dogs in a pan or something.
And you can tell so much from that photo because there's like whatever's on the table. Yeah. Whatever their clothes they're wearing, the smiles and that togetherness, the engagement, all that stuff. It's like, that's when I go and select photos for the magazine. Yeah, right. I always want to choose.
Keep that a bit closer to your mic, sorry.
I always want to choose shots that are a person could look at and not just flip the page. Sure. They can scan it over. They can, take their time with it and make.
Do you think every photo tells 1,000 words?
No,
right? What we were getting at. It's like not every photo does. Some just have some 10 good words. But
no,
maybe
you could tell it easy. Like I even sometimes try to surreptitiously in the background watch people flipping through the mag, and you can tell what resonates with people and what kind of stops them in their tracks. Right? Like when we go to choose our cover, we almost always have a fight because there's kind of 4 of us, and it's like I wish there was a 5th person that made the call. But, because it's so photography is so subjective. Like you might like something, and I might not like something, but anyways, you get through it, and 9 times out of 10 it ends up being the right call.
Whenever I see a brown couch in a photo, I stop and look at it because that brown couch is probably old, and that's an old photo. If I see, like, I just feel like there's so many curated photos, and like you said, some of those ones that were just like off the cuff or a photo, just like it just keeps you on. You're like looking like, what's going on there? Why is there's a photo of like 4 guys on a
power
couch?
snapshot?
Yeah. I think we can go along for photography, but I think this is going to take a bit of a sidestep here, but that's kind of like what's going on with a lot of like just promotional stuff right now. It's like some brands are doing it, but it's like it's hard to find photos that have they're just like that quick catch your attention, and your attention's gone fast. It's like a bright yellow jacket that all of a sudden you don't like anymore because you bought it because it was bright yellow and you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like there's like this like thing where this quick flash, and then it's okay, I'm not really that into it.
It's gone.
But if you take a second, like some of those photos, you're like, I need to look at that for a second because there's something going on there.
Well, that's a good summation of people's attention spans nowadays, right? It's
like, and
most
brands are like, we put yellow jackets on the window because we want to sell the black jacket on the shelf. That's all people sell. It's like the black jacket the yellow jacket gets your attention. But I think I've had this podcast a while. We talk about Whistler a lot, and I think it's, I don't know if it's synonymous with most mountain towns, but I just think you talked about that the history and stuff. And, it's all good, man. We're casual here. We're loose. Yeah. There's so much.
I got my root beer here, by the way.
Yeah.
A&W root beer, a frosted mug. It was frosted.
Beer. Yeah, frosted mugs, man. I thought like you were saying earlier, like the A&W program with a frosted mug. And do you have frosted mugs at home?
No, but I should.
Yeah, right. I didn't. A friend of mine, she works at the brewery. She's like, "Do you have a frosted mug?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "I don't know." So now I have 2 mugs.
Put them in the freezer.
Yeah, because ice dilutes. But yeah, man. Well, the reminiscing, I could go on for I don't know how long. You've been in town for a long time now, right? Like.
Yeah, but I mean, 22 years, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think, like you said, someone's going to come along and be here in 22 years from now. And what I was going to get at, I mentioned this earlier. So the person who's been here for 20 years, starting today, will still have the stories that we have, just in a different, like, I remember that time. Remember back in the day. There's always a back in the day, and we're going to look back on it differently. And that sometimes I think a lot of people get cynical of people who are new to town and like, oh, what's this person doing here? And I'm like, well, we were all new at once. It's like the not in my backyard kind of thing where it's like, well, I got in someone's backyard and, back in the day. But I think there's like, I'd love to talk to somebody who got here today, 20 years from now. Like, what was it like?
You listening?
Yeah, right.
We want to talk to you. If you got here today and you plan on staying, get in touch.
February 2nd, because I'll be 60 something then, right? And I'll be like, well, back in my day. Yeah, it's crazy.
Someone will find this on YouTube 20 years from now, and they'll be like, hey, that was me.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're going to get into some business here because I think you have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I really I admire what you do from afar, and we've been friends for a while, talked for a while, and I just think you're always doing something. It seems like your motor's always running, and I think your downtime to me seems like it's always usually an adventure than it is more just like kind of idle. And I don't know how you keep that motivation going to do this, or I go through times where I'm just unmotivated and just chill and don't want to do something. I feel like nothing I'm doing is working and stuff. But how do you we'll get into some of the stuff you're doing here, but like your motivation just to keep going. Like I know you have downtime for sure. You like to chill. I do a lot of adventure stuff like that. But like, where are you getting this? Where's your engine? What's your engine running on?
Yeah, the engine I think is running from not wanting to deal with regret.
Okay.
Or not wanting to regret something.
Sure.
It's like, for example, like this morning, I slept in.
Uh-oh.
I almost never sleep in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I woke up, I had a headache, I wanted to go back to bed. And then I woke up after that, and we're kind of scrambling around to get up the mountain, right?
Yeah.
But if you wake up early, you have this time, you can kind of have the space to do your thing and whatever, and do your thing. But so when we talk about regret, I never want that feeling of like, oh, I could have done something, but I didn't.
Right.
I could have had this time, but I chose to do this and did nothing instead, right?
Yeah. I think it's hard to reflect back on that and take regret as a learning time, I think sometimes regret just kind of starts to seep in.
It does.
And it can be a hard thing to kind of bounce out of your soul. But like, yeah, I think, I think being idle, I'll look back and be like, yeah, that was such a waste of time. But at the time, I thought I needed it for some reason. I thought I needed to be slow. But then, yeah, like, where does that motivation, not feel regret, come from? And I think, I haven't read your book yet, so I apologize about that. Sorry.
That's okay.
But I'm going to. And I just read a bit about, you talk about regrets, not wanting to feel that way and things like that. And that's a big, it's not a small thing that we're talking about here in regards to what you were getting at. I just read like the overview of your book. But I think that seeps into people's minds. And I think sometimes some of the things that happen to them don't seem like big events at the time. So the regrets like kind of like delayed. And I think that can kind of hold people back. But it's,
yeah, well, it's, time has its way with us, with us all. And, time marches on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy when you think about, how time does march on. So I think, the big thing is like plan stuff that you want to do and make sure you do it. They like book the flight.
Yeah.
And then work towards it. So don't just like say, big thing that I read, and I have this even on my fireplace right now. It's one day or day one.
Okay. Yeah.
Because everyone says, oh, one day I'll do that and one day I'll do that. Or you rephrase it, flip it on its ass.
Yeah.
Day one. Okay, so today I'm going to figure out how I'm going to get there.
Right.
I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do, what I need to do to get to that place.
Yeah.
To get to where I'm going to go, where I want to go, what I want to do. Right. So you got to book the flight.
That's a good that thing on its own is you got to put the flight.
Yeah.
I'm notorious for like booking a flight 5 days before I want to go somewhere, and then it costs me a fortune, but I'm like scrambling. But I'll still go. I was thinking the other day, I was writing some notes down about just kind of what I was up to, and I had this thought about how I thought 20 years from now seems like it's going to be tomorrow, but a year from now seems like it's going to be 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And so I'm always scared about that 20 years tomorrow. And I forget that a year is going to be gone in no time.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of puts you in like a paralyzed state. It put me in one for a while. So I'm trying to figure out a way to or how to get past that. Like, don't be scared of next year or worried about it. It's going to happen fast. And don't be paralyzed for this year because 25 years seems like it's going to be tomorrow. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know if it sounds stupid or not, but like,
sure.
There's a thing like that further distance seems like, almost scarier than just ignoring the next year. And but I have lots of friends who get after it and go do things like, yo, I'm booking that flight, or I'm going to do it now. Getting up early is a huge thing. My alarm's set for 5:30 now. I hit snooze once in a while, but
yeah, nice.
I get up and just, there is that solitary time where no one else is up. You're not getting emails. No one's going to call you and go, hey, what's going on? Do this or whatever else, or hey, can you come into these things? And it's hard. It's hard to cherish that time because it feels hard to get up. But you get up, open the window, get some sunlight in your eyes, and then you can just do whatever. You can read a book. Even if it takes you an hour just to chill. Just don't forget about that hour. Remember it happened and just be like, I had that time.
Maximize it.
Yeah, because you could even just sitting down, like, I don't know, doing like a Wordle or something dumb. Like even just like to get your mind going in the morning when no one else bothers you. I think we have this thing that we need to be up doing something all the time. Book the flight, but also like, I think there's no in between anymore. It's like either no one's doing anything or everyone's doing way too much.
Yeah.
I think that in between is probably where to be.
Well, I do this thing called, and I just have it where it's called think time.
Okay.
Right. I'm not doing anything.
Right.
But I'm thinking.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about, what I'm doing, what's going on in my life, my goal, like what I'm doing with my business or with whatever. Yeah. And it's just taking time to think about it.
Right.
And not like, we're always doing. Yeah. We're not actually being so much, right?
Yeah, right.
So if you take time to think, my time to think and my like guilty pleasure, my Western culture guilty pleasure is like a long hot shower. Mm-hmm. you're right. Like the phone's not ringing, nothing's happening.
Sure.
You're in that shower, you're by yourself, and that's when my best ideas come out. Like I swear,
Yeah.
like always. And like get out of the shower, start writing them down, and go.
Yeah, I've been writing stuff down too recently, just like on my phone or typing it out, I guess. And
Yeah.
I have to remember to go back to it and look at it because
Yeah.
I can make a schedule and just ignore the schedule for the next however I made it for.
You know what I do? Here's a good hack: is I send myself emails in the future.
Oh wow, okay.
Right,
Just like time them.
Yeah, you can schedule to send like a year from now or whatever. It's like something you need to do, whatever. Like you know.
That's the old school mail yourself, a note or something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Let's bring it to the
works
future. Yeah. I just said, I think like, I've got friends who are motivated and always doing something. And, I think I lean on the time to chill and reflect. And, it's hard to think I have a hard time just thinking, just like sitting down. And I don't know what you do when you're thinking, like, is there music in the background? Is it silence? Do you have opera in the background or something? You're just like sitting there, just like you're in the shower, obviously. So, but maybe you have a, I don't know, waterproof speaker or something. But like, you just like, how do you like operate in that time? Is it just?
Yeah, no. Sometimes it's just silent time to think. And if my family's out of the house and I've got my to-do list is done and I've got a bit of me time.
Yeah.
I try to do some think time. And even sometimes if I wake up at night.
Yeah.
At 4 a.m, rather than like struggle to try to like get back to bed. I'll just be like, okay, well, let's take some time to think. Like I'm obviously here for a reason. Like I woke up for a reason, so let's just take that time, think a little bit. And guided meditation, I do that quite a bit too, because I've tried to meditate by myself and silence, and it's hard. Like if I have
silence
a guided,
scares me sometimes.
If I have guided meditation, it's great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's like it's like TM or transcendental or something. Is that what it is, or is it just like a mantra thing you're doing?
Yeah, it's it's just guided meditation. Listening to on YouTube, it's this lady named Sarah Raymond, mindful meditation,
right?
And she has a few different things, and I listen to them, and it's good.
It's good to have kind of like I think those people you can go to them, give you a bit like even like a small structure of how to start it, because people think I think if I meditate, it's 10 minutes a day. People, I don't think I should do it. I don't think past that 1 or 2 times. I'm like, well, what's it going to do? I can do it tomorrow. Who cares? But you need to make sure, you need to realize, again, think in the future, be like, hey, I'm going to do it 40 days in a row. That's going to change something, or even 10 days in a row. I don't meditate, but silence gets me.
Yeah.
But I think also, too, because of that, I don't get to think enough. Because something's always, the TV's on, or I got music going, or a podcast. I don't get to use my own brain. I'm trying to, like, ignore whatever's going on.
Yeah.
So when you go to write, I'm going to jump into this here. So when you start writing this, so Todd wrote a book, everybody. I don't know everybody, maybe 5 people, but it's called Inside the Belly of an Elephant. I'll let him explain what's going on, but I'm curious about the writing process for you. Obviously, it's very personal, and it's kind of like a biography, I guess, or I don't know what you call it, but like not a biography, but like it's a true story, and it's like your
it's a tough
part of
one
your
to
life.
pin down.
Yeah. Too much weed. And I'm really curious because, I mean, I think back and I'm like, if I wrote a book, what would it be about? I'm like, my experience could be unique to somebody and just could be just like whatever. But obviously it's a very close topic to you, of course, for sure. But before getting to that, the writing process to put 333 pages, what is it? 300 pages?
Yeah, something like that.
You're a writer, you're a media guy, you're a magazine editor and stuff. And I'm just curious, like, to sit down and write, did you, and I want to get you to explain what's going on in the book, but I want to just kind of get an idea of like how the process went as far as writing it, because it's a lot to put in front of you, especially so close and so emotional to you.
So it actually, like, some, people have asked me, like, how long did it take you to write this book? And without, the truth of the matter is that it took me 20 years to write this book, or plus 20 years plus. So, and that's not 20 years of focused writing. Sure, that's like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there.
Okay.
And that was in the past, right? And then when I turned 47, I'm 51 now.
Nice, dude. Crushing it.
Yeah. And that was the day when I turned 47. That was when I outlived my stepdad.
Okay.
And that was when I kind of realized, like, hey, I still got a lot of my life to live.
Sure.
I want to get this story told. So stop fucking around,
Mm-hmm.
get off your ass, and actually like write it.
Yeah.
So that's when discipline had to step in big time. Right. So because I had all these like the back end stuff that really helped the core of the book was Sean's journals, my brother's journals, and me and Christina's journals that we kept. So we had like volumes of journals that Sean had kept from back in the day. So there's some like verbatim journal entries from Sean that I wanted him to tell his story in kind of his words, you know?
Yeah.
So that really helped with kind of the timeline of the book. It helped with places. It helped with,
chronological.
Chronological stuff, verbatim dialogue, descriptions of things, where we were that day and all that. And then, like I said, when discipline, I had to really tap into that. So I set aside from 9:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. every single night. This is during COVID.
Okay.
And I just, boom, bashed it away. So that was about, full 2, almost 3 years of writing, editing, rewriting, editing, rewriting again till the final.
Yeah, because keeping the motivation to do that, was it like, not stream of consciousness, but like, was it like, okay, I'm going to write 6 pages, whatever I got, pump it out, and then just see where I'm at and then reorganize some things? Was it like,
exactly.
And then obviously you're comparing it to the notes and stuff, but when it came down to just writing and your thoughts and your take, lack of a better word, on it.
Yeah.
That was just you pumping it out and then.
Yeah. So writing doesn't come easy to me.
Okay.
I have to work at it quite a bit. I studied journalism and photography, and I've been writing many different pieces over the last, 17 years through Mountain Life and other places and stuff like that. But it's still, a process. You have to work through it. You have to, have all your notes, and without cut and paste, I'd be dead. Like if I was typing this out, I'd be like, but this is actually the first time that I've talked about this because it's casual with Ryan Proctor. So I feel I can talk about this, but smoking cannabis helps really to unlock those creative avenues and, those tendrils that happen.
Yeah.
So what I would do is smoke weed.
Yeah.
Write.
Okay.
Write some. Or actually, rewind. I would write, and then I would go back and I would read it when I was high.
Yeah.
And I would be like, oh my God, that fucking sucks. Like, that is terrible. Like, what are you doing? And then I would rewrite it.
Okay.
And then I would edit sober.
I've heard this before. It's like write drunk, edit sober. It's like a Bukowski kind of thing or something. Like a fucking, what's the dude who did Fear and Loathing? But like that kind of thing.
And it just like, it really helped on the creative side of things, especially because, it is creative nonfiction, right? And like you were saying, like it's tough to pigeonhole this book into one genre. It's not a biography. It's not an autobiography. It's not really a memoir. It's kind of all those things in one.
Okay.
So, going through that process helped. But, writing when you're high, it takes a long time because you can look at a paragraph.
Sometimes stare at the wall for
look at a paragraph for a half an hour.
Sure.
Do it again.
Yeah, right.
But that paragraph is gold.
Yeah, sure.
That paragraph is gold. So you can piece those things together. So it took a while. So that's, back to discipline. Just no matter high, sober, whatever. Yeah. You're writing a book. You're writing a book. You want to get that story out into the world. And I just want it to be good. Yeah. I didn't, I didn't know how it was going to be received. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of blown away by how it has been received and how it's touched people and all that stuff. But I just wanted to get it out there in the world. I knew it was a story that needed to be told. I knew that it was going to maybe help people in some way, even from the malaria standpoint. Like if one person reads this book and was like, hey, I don't want to make the mistake that he made. And,
Yeah. I mean, the bit I've read, the excerpts I've read on the Amazon,
the reviews.
Reviews are killer, dude. Like, reviews are great. And I'm just curious, like, it's your experience wrapped in with, Christina, sorry.
Yeah.
Christina. And your family and then your brother. And it's you, obviously, coming from your voice. But there must have been times where you're writing this going like, fuck, can I even get this out to do justice to what I'm trying to do here? The doubt. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying. Did you go through times you're like, what am I doing here? Should I write this? Like, can you get?
Yeah. I had a couple major breakdowns, and it was
because you're revisiting
times. a lot of that hard times, a lot of those really hard times in the hospital in those 4.5 days that my brother was in there, and just like we went, like I say in the book, or like it's kind of evident in the book, but I went from the highest point in my life to the lowest point in my life in 4.5 days. It was insane. So that's how it affected me so deeply, and that's kind of the impetus of the book.
I'm gonna check the camera, but can you like just give an overview of like a little bit? Not give it, but like just kind of chat about like maybe like give it like a what's it about? Because anybody hasn't read it yet. Like I know what it's about.
If you haven't read the book yet, you
should.
It's one of those things like. What's the book about? I could spend half an hour describing the book, but it's kind of like it's the triumph of the human spirit. It's about finding your freedom. It's about overcoming the depths of despair but like that's sort of a internal way of looking at it, and but this from a story standpoint, I met Sean. My brother in 1999 in Cape Town.
Yeah,
we had both traveled extensively, like solo on each other, like apart from each other.
Sure, yeah.
And then we met in Cape Town. We started working there as bicycle couriers.
No shit, really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's cool, man.
And we were climbing and stuff, and having a great time. And then he just had come back from Cambodia, and he was really into dirt biking.
Okay.
And he's like, "Hey, man, we could buy dirt bikes and travel through Africa." And I was like,
that sounds rad.
That wasn't even like on my radar at all.
Sure, yeah.
So I ended up quitting my job or not going back to my job, and we bought these bikes, and we went on this epic adventure. And I remember the first time when we left Cape Town, and the first time our tires touched gravel, and it was just like this wide open road in front of us, and I was just like, that was like the most amount of freedom that I ever had experienced up until then. Okay. Because we had our stuff behind us, like
all you had,
just a backpack, and that was it. I didn't even have a thermarest. I didn't even have anything. I slept on my clothes, and it was awesome. It was just me and my brother having it. And then 3.5 months later, he contracted cerebral malaria. He died 4.5 days later. And then I was kind of like, boom, left to pick up the pieces.
You were in Africa when this happened?
Southern Africa. Yeah.
It's got to be, I mean, damn, I don't know what that feels like to lose a brother. I mean, I have a brother right now, and he's the man. But yeah, I don't know what you do. But like, and you have to move on. You got to go. For his sake, you have to keep going. You got to make it happen. But like, to do... when you're writing this and trying to, I mean, you guys are brothers, but you guys are how old, like 20 or something when this happened?
No, I was 27. He was 29.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So you lived life, and you lived pretty separately before that? Like, did you live, were you tight brothers?
We weren't, no, not really. I mean, it was kind of like he left town when he was 17 or whatever. He moved to Rossland, and you kind of go through those teenage years, and you kind of hate your brothers, and you're fighting and shit and all that stuff. And then I went to see him in Rossland a little bit, but then we kind of had this time as like, hey, let's connect again.
Yeah, right.
And we did that. And then, boom, it was all just like kind of taken away, right?
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that. Like my brother and I, we're pretty tight, but we get along. We don't talk a lot, but he lives in Costa Rica now, and I've been going to see him like every year for like a month and a half to connect.
Sweet.
And, I can't imagine that, but I don't know if we have the adventurous spirit the same way as you guys did, but like just thinking about those times I have to connect, and just like, you get to draw from all the shit that you did as a kid. You get to be with them and just be like, hey, now we have no other choice. You and I are going to talk for the next month and just hang out. Sometimes have to fight adversity or whatever, right? And it probably builds that bond that you already had, but it wasn't evident. So you're just trying to like now build this thing, and then it just gets taken away. It sounds like, I don't know how to even...
I mean, it was ultra super tragic, and but what I got from him and from what happened, because he was just like this fucking wingnut of a traveler and of a person, and a wingnut in a good way. And he was the kind of guy, like I wrote this in the book, but he was the kind of guy that would like go to India, and instead of getting in the back and taking the guy, like getting a rickshaw ride, he would tell the guy to sit in the seat, and he would pedal the rickshaw.
Hilarious.
Like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like
right.
he was just that kind of guy. Like he hated people that traveled to Lonely Planet, because all those Lonely Planet people would go to the same places,
Sure,
see the same
Nothing's
hostels.
lonely there.
And
Yeah,
it's
right.
just like, so he wasn't into canned adventures and stuff, stuff like that. And so he would just like do things for people that were totally unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
And people would write this in his journals and just be like, "Holy shit, Sean!"
He had people write. Oh man,
Yeah,
that's
people.
incredible.
Yeah, you'll when you read the
I'm
book,
stoked
you'll
to
see
check
it in
out.
there.
Yeah,
But it's
sure.
like, it's all in there. So it's like, that's really why I'm here today, and that's
Yeah.
like why I'm even living here in
Sure.
Whistler. It was kind of insane. You'll read about it again, but
Yeah.
it was insane how I came to be here and met all of Sean's friends, a bunch of people who lived in Whistler who
Yeah.
I'm friends with today, like best
Yeah.
friends with today. So it's kind of like serendipitous to the maximosis.
And I mean, the way you live your life now, I mean, I've known you for a while, but like the whitewater paddleboarding, it's like the adventure you're on, you're always gonna be doing something. Is that a part in your heart now where you're like, I need to do this? Anything for him? Or is it more just, did it inspire you to do it for yourself? to make
Yeah,
sure your life was full?
yeah, like
I don't want to get too deep. Well, maybe I'll get
No,
deeper.
that's okay. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. I mean, I love talking about it.
Yeah.
It really
It's
helps me
therapeutic for
talk
sure.
about. It's therapeutic for
Yeah.
sure. But I think now it's so ingrained in me now that I just
Yeah.
do it for, myself, and because
Yeah.
of passions take over, and
Sure.
you kind of. But that's always in the back. It's always in the back. Like even, I'm so grateful for my mom who.
She said a birthday, right, or something?
No,
No, maybe I'm wrong.
no, that's okay.
Okay,
But
apologize.
well, it's in October.
Okay, right.
Not too
I think
far
I saw you. Anyway, yeah. I thought I saw somebody on Facebook. with a birthday or
But
something.
she, had the wherewithal to get skis for us as kids.
Okay, yeah.
And, we grew up in like Stony Plain, Alberta. It's flat as,
Right.
but there was a ski hill called Lake Eden.
Okay.
And that was like where the introduction to skiing started.
Sure. Yeah.
It was just like.
So when
all that.
he was here before you, where were you? Just there? Like
No, he was, he did a little stint in Whistler, construction. He was a Kootenai. He was a
Okay.
Kootenai kid. That was
Right.
his kind of second home.
Yeah.
But I did live. I came to Whistler in, I think it was about '96
Oh, cool. Yeah.
when he was here,
Yeah.
and I was here for like a week. Just kind of, went to the boot pub and all that stuff. And,
Rip the boot. Fuck.
but I wish I would have stayed then. It was kind of weird. We're talking about the Whistler '90s, and I came here in 2001 or 2002 actually. So I feel like we're 10. I was 10 years late.
Yeah.
for sure.
I think so too. My brother came here before me, so we have a bit of a same history there. We grew up in Ontario, but he came here before me. He came here for a season. He lived in staff housing, finished school, and I was like, I came here when I was like 15. My parents got divorced. We came here. My mom brought us here as a trip when I was 15, and he came back here. I was like probably 98, 99, around there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, it sounds like a cool place. And then so he left, and when he left, he came back to my hometown. We lived together for a while. We had a house together, and then I moved out here, and I never went back. He's like, man, fuck, you stole my idea. He's like, I'm like, I admire him for doing it, and I appreciate his fact of getting me stoked to do it. And the whole brother thing to me is interesting because I call him Proctor. He calls me Proctor because our friend groups got together when we were younger, and they called him Proctor, and we just our friend group. But like the whole older brother thing, or brother thing in general, sometimes you just follow their footsteps without thinking that's going to impact your life for the rest of your life, right? Like I didn't think I'd be here. I got a one-way ticket. I think I'll be here for 6 months. He's like, oh, it's cool out there, but he came back, and I was like, well, I want to go too. I'm like, I want to go. You went. I want to go. And now, he's doing some cool shit.
Here
Where he
we are
does
20 years later.
Yeah. 20 years goes by so fast.
Yeah.
Man. And it goes by fast even while it's happening, but to look back and, I mean, the memories like you would have with your brother at the time here, and then the memories from then on, I mean, they just sit in your heart and your soul, and it's like, man, I can't get rid of some of this stuff. It's just there.
Memories, like life is memories.
Yeah. Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's really what kind of keeps me going and doing these things and
Right.
having these adventures. And whatever it is in life, love, memories are what we take to the grave.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, seriously, that's it.
Yeah.
You're not going to remember the money you made or lost or whatever. You're going to remember the times that you had, those epic times of like doing fun shit with your friends and your family.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know what's funny? So my buddy of mine, I won't say his name if he asked me not to, but I was talking about 5 minutes ago. He sent me a meme on Instagram and about throwing snowballs. My buddy of mine, a good friend of mine, has a fucking rocket for an arm.
Yeah.
The guy's got a fucking zing in an arm.
Yeah.
And when we first moved here, we would walk to the village and throw snowballs in open windows in hotels. And I remember he would yell zing and just fucking zing it. But he had a frozen rope into the window every time.
Wow.
You hear like bang off a TV or a bang. You're like, what the?
Dude,
like,
I love that.
And man, we were just talking now, and he said, don't incriminate me. I'm like, I won't. But man, I sat here for 10 minutes before you got here laughing about the word zing.
Yeah.
Because my buddy of mine just fucking like, check this out, Proctor. And just be like, snowball. I'm like, if it ever snows in this town again, I'm going to zing a snowball in a window in the next few months here, next few weeks here. It's going to happen. But some of those things, like those memories, yeah, like there's the standouts. That's such a small thing.
Yeah.
But they just, those points, there's like a point in your mind. I don't know if it's like your filing cabinet opens up and boom, that file goes in there and it's there. And some just don't get put in the cabinet. But I just think about these times, these small moments that I almost feel like the small moments for me will be more I remember than the big moments because the small ones add up to a lot more. And I think, one question I have for you is when you were writing this and you obviously had your brother in your mind, were you like, he'd be proud of this book, he would love this book, or he would like you have to do a service to him and it's honor towards him too. Also, you go back and backtrack. You go back with your wife and do the trip again to kind of relive it or just experience it again, I guess. And were you thinking like, obviously you want people to love the book, but were you like, man, he would love this book too? Like, is that something that you?
Yeah, I think he'd be pretty stoked that his voice is out there, the way that he traveled, and just kind of, I think he would be stoked that people who are reading the book are kind of tapping into his energy.
Sure.
Like so many people have reached out to me and said, thank you for sharing the story with the world. Yeah. And that means like everything to me. That means like the world.
Pretty heavy too, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's just like, I was in tears every freaking day.
Yeah.
It still am. Like I still almost daily get a message from someone or a DM or a text or a phone call saying, oh my God, I never knew this about you, or I never knew this about your family, or never knew you went through this. I'm sorry you went through this, or whatever. You guys are an inspiration, or all that stuff. Yeah. And it just like means so much to me that people are reaching out and that the book is affecting them in such a positive way. Like I had someone reach out to me saying, I haven't read in 20 years. I picked up your book and I read it and I couldn't put it down. And now I'm reading again. I was just like, holy fuck, man. Like,
that's cool.
I'm done. Like, come on.
Yeah, and so you're a well-known guy around Worcester. A lot of people know you, and they know what you do. You're getting an audience, I'm guessing, like people who don't know you. Just the book looks cool, book by its cover, I guess. In some respects, when you look on Amazon, you buy a book. It must be great to have somebody you know say something to you, like, hey, it's great. But someone you don't know who's from like, I don't know, fucking London, going, hey, this book, I went to Whistler once, I read your, like, or whatever, I've been to South Africa, whatever it is. That must weigh differently, right? Big time.
This guy wrote to me on Instagram, and he said, I was in Armchair Books. He lives in the States. He was visiting here. I was in Armchair Books, and I picked up your book, and it resonated with me, and I don't know why I bought it, but I bought it. And he's like, holy shit. He's like, I bought six copies for my friends.
Yeah,
and
cool.
He's just like, people are buying, like, people are buying the book because they think that people will like it and they love to read it. So that's like, I can't even ask for any more. Like, it's just been so amazing to feel all that love from like random people or people that I know well or whoever. It's just like, I'm just glad that it's out there in the world and it's doing its own thing.
When you're doing book signings, I saw photos of you like at Armchair Books and book signings over there. Like, that must seem weird because you're a humble guy, but you do cool shit. And obviously, I mean, I'm not your books. It's great. I'm sure I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
But like when you're there signing stuff, I don't know if I could do that. I feel like it would be like, hey, look at me, read this book, right?
Yeah.
I'm not discounting it at all, but it feels like
Yeah.
you're like, I'll sign it, and you're like, yeah, it's my name. Like how do you have something different to say? Like were you was like Todd Lawson, 2023, whatever else. But if it's a stranger coming up the bookstore saying, sign my book for me, what do you say?
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's that whole,
It's cool.
being humble, but
Proud.
being proud for sure.
Yeah.
And just like having to promote the book, right?
Sure.
Like the promotion thing, it's different. Book publishing is different than, now than it was 20 years ago when you got paid this advance and blah, blah, blah. So now it's like, publishers are looking for someone that has an audience
already,
as well as a good book, right?
Sure.
You have to have that kind of,
Yeah.
if you got a huge social following, that obviously is going to help with book sales, right? So you got to kind of ride that fine line between being humble and, yes, of course, thank you for like buying my book. Like it feels so good to me that someone would just buy my book off the shelf,
yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah.
And, but yeah, you just like, when I'm doing a book signing, you have that few minutes with the person.
Sure.
And, usually I don't just like sign my name.
Yeah, you got to
like,
do something.
Hey, what's your name?
Yeah.
Like,
Sup,
enjoy
bro?
the ride or whatever, like something
Kind of sign on a poster.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But just like, I love it. I love the fact that someone would just want to buy my book because of what they read on the back jacket, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the publishing process, it's like, if you're pitching a TV show, you have like a tagline. It's supposed to envelop the whole idea in one sentence or two sentences to get whoever's producer into it or something like that. But when you're writing the book, that process, I mean, you're a magazine publisher. You've been in media for a long time. You said you write, but like, are you working with the editor? Are you going back and forth? Is the publisher I don't know how that works. So more mechanical chat here now.
Good question.
Yeah.
Fortunate enough that I have two really esteemed colleagues, Leslie Anthony and Pete Banks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right.
So Les was the first guy that I pitched the book to.
Yeah.
Or told him that I was wanted to write.
He's written books before. What's that? He wrote like
White Planet is an awesome book.
Yeah.
Shout
out to Les.
Yeah, shout out to Les.
Yeah.
And he really gave me some good advice. He just said, in your first draft, just puke it out.
Yeah.
Puke it out there. Don't worry about structuring it so much and, linking things together. He's just like, get it out, whatever's in your heart, whatever's in your mind, get it out there, right? So the first draft I wrote was 124,000 words.
In my head, I don't know what that computes to the pages.
Okay, so this book now is 99.
Okay.
Right? So 20%. I had to nix.
Sure,
just
okay.
like 86, bam, bam, gone. Which is like, I spent 3 weeks on
what
that
the fuck?
section.
I wrote all this.
Like,
what the hell? Yeah,
God,
dude,
oh my God, I cry.
Yeah.
But it's like, if it doesn't advance, if it doesn't help move the book along, it's got to go.
Yeah.
Right? So Les took a, first
read or whatever.
First read, it told me a few things. Okay, back to the drawing board. Boom. So then I hired Feet.
Yeah.
To have a look at it.
Yeah.
And Feet's
shout out to Feet too, guy's legend.
Feet's is such a good editor because he cares.
Yeah.
He doesn't just take it and just be like, oh yeah, thanks. He'll be like, okay, no, this doesn't work here. This doesn't fit here. How about this? How about moving this over there?
Wow,
he just it's a process with Feet, right?
Yeah.
So when someone cares like that, it really means a lot because it kind of sucks in one way because you're like, oh my God, I gotta do fucking so much more work, right?
Yeah, right.
But at the end result is there, right?
Right.
And then so I hired a book agent.
Okay.
After that, after I had my kind of draft ready to go, hired a book agent.
There was no deal. You just wrote the book and said we're gonna sell it now.
Yeah,
or pitch
no
it.
deal for I just wrote it. I knew I needed to write it first.
Okay. Yeah.
Hired a book agent. He ended up, I got about 7 rejections, and then it came to me kind of right underneath my nose. Rocky Mountain Books. We've featured a bunch of their authors in Mountain Life before.
Right.
They're from Victoria. They publish adventure nonfiction. It's like boom,
Well,
perfect
for
fit.
sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, we'll take your book on. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
So then when we went on our big trip with my wife and my kid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wait, the one.
Freedom.
Right. Three. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Ireland, India.
Yeah. Killer. I mean.
Yeah.
That was. I followed you guys. It was cool to see.
We can segue into that, but
we're gonna get a beer after this little chat. I'm gonna fill you up there, but
yeah. So they accepted the book,
okay.
and then I went through the process with them.
Right.
So by that time, the draft was pretty solid. Like me and Feet went through it a couple times, and then so after that, they had their editor go through some things, and we went through, and it was kind of a bunch of legality things. Like I had some Metallica lyrics in the book, and we couldn't publish those because of
whatever,
blah, blah, blah.
some bullshit. Yeah.
So, but anyways, there was really good editor that I worked with there. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And then it goes through the copy editing process. There's 32 pages of color photographs in there, so I did all the captions for that and stuff like that. And so
So the difference between I'm gonna get a beer.
Yes.
I'm gonna get you one too.
Okay.
But I want to ask you about the difference between copy editing and editing. Like, editing is like grammar and stuff, editing is like storyline and like direction, and copy editing is just like basic grammar, right?
Grammar, commas, spaces.
Are you shit at that? Or are you good at that? Where they were like, dude,
no, I'm okay.
4,000 commas.
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, but I'm actually guilty of too many commas.
Yeah.
When I was reading the book myself, I'm like, I don't need
because
that.
do you write like you talk probably, right?
Yeah.
Like, right. Yeah. Commas.
Yeah,
get
kind
in
of.
the way for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. I'm gonna get a beer.
Break. What's that?
Fourth longest pee in the history.
Oh my god, I have a buddy of mine that fucking pees forever. He's like a fucking...
Do you go center of the bowl or do you go on the side? Do you go like for dominance?
I'll do the side because...
Yeah. I got you new glass, so it's frosty.
Yeah, thanks, bud. I got put some ice in there.
Nice. Okay, so publishing process. So once that editor...
we're back now? Okay, we're back.
We're back. Yeah, well, yeah, we're always here.
Okay.
So publishing process, editors look at it, and then you got a few back and forths, I'm assuming, and then you take the hit. You got to edit some stuff, and then how much are they like going in saying like you need to change the way this section works, or is it like, hey, this looks great, fix this things here and there? They're not trying to change the storyline. I mean, obviously storyline. It's chronological, it's your life, but like, what kind of input are they giving you from the publisher itself? Other than like, I know Feet gives you input, but like, what's the publisher giving you for that input? Like,
no. From when the book got accepted by the publisher, Rocky Mountain, there wasn't much in terms of we're going to change this or we're going to change that, or I think you should change this or that. It was more of like, hey, you've submitted a really good first like draft here, final draft, I guess, or whatever. Yeah. We're just going to work on tightening things up a bit.
Okay, right.
Word
economy of words and stuff.
Economy of words, exactly, makes a big difference. Like, if you can say something in 5 words that you
say it in 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So, and then there's just cleaning it up.
Sure.
Like, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure everything is legit. There is a thing called CP style.
Sure, it's like standard, like you write
language, like 40 kilometers has to be 40.
Right.
If it's 7 kilometers, it's SEVEN.
Yeah, right. Okay. Or
that little
sixes versus the number.
So that's just
6.
geeky grammar stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So no, I was fortunate enough that the draft that we had submitted was pretty good, and didn't need much work.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was just curious about that because I feel like some people say books take years to write or years to get into published and stuff, and then so once it's published, like, or once they accept, okay, we're good here. They check it off, we're good to go. Then it's what like.
Yeah, they put it into their calendar as far as like when they can slot it in, because I think he said they publish about 6 to 8 books a year.
And where do they print locally, or they print like, is it Hemlock or something, or who prints?
Not
things?
Hemlock, but it is in BC. Yeah, it's printed in BC, Vancouver.
Do magazines and books get printed in the same spot? Like,
no,
it's different shit, right?
Yeah, it is a bit different. Yeah, because we get our magazine published in Vancouver, Mitchell Press.
Yeah, okay.
And they do a lot of glossy, perfect bound kind of stuff, and it is a little bit different than books.
And then you get do you get that copy mailed to you going, here it is, we're about to go 40,000 copies or 10,000, whatever it is, and read it through? Or do you like how are you receiving this first book?
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, you have to read through it again?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, yes.
I mean,
they were, no, but not print, not a print copy. Just a big PDF.
Right.
Yeah, here you go. This is the final thing.
Right. Yeah.
If there's anything you need to change, let me know now.
Do it now, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have an audio version of this?
No. People have been asking, and...
Will you read it yourself? 'Cause I know a lot of,
people are like, I'm only going to listen to it if you do it.
Fair enough, yeah.
I was like
Morgan Freeman's not going to read your book, but
yeah.
Rad, actually. But yeah.
Yeah, so, audiobook is probably next on the docket.
I kind of think again, I'm just getting back into reading, and I've read a lot of books. I mean, that's my stack over there, but
wow, that's huge.
no, it's not, dude. I read Ayn Rand's
look at that.
Atlas Shrugged. My brother gave it to me, and I thought it was punishment.
Atlas Shrugged, yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing here, dude? I'm like, are you trying to be punishing me for something?
I haven't read that. You
Dude,
got that there?
I'll give it to you. Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to borrow, yeah,
Sure.
he's got some. He wrote about it's what's going on right now in our world. Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, wow.
Texas is whatever. Like that book is like Alberta and Texas.
Okay.
It's dude. I mean, you find your way through that book.
Yeah.
You can definitely. I would be stoked to give you that book to read.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. See in Hell, buddy. It sucks. It's huge. It's like 1,500 pages of just like tiny type.
Wow. Okay.
Let's go. But yeah, I was curious about that because you get the book, you're like, yeah, okay, I want to read it, and you read through it. But then you're like, if you read the book, you almost have to read it almost like a performance, I would guess, right? It's like you got to read when people, when it's a quote, you probably have to have some inflection and just be very I would guess. Because when I hear an audiobook, also audiobooks, I feel like you can ignore half of it while you're just doing shit. I feel like it might not be the best immersive way to get a book into you.
Yeah, well, I don't listen to many books.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that commute and
Sure.
stuff, that's how they consume books.
Yeah.
And I have had a lot of people reach out and say, when's the audiobook coming out?
Right.
So
I'm going to read it, dude.
we'll have to do. Oops.
Oh, dude,
Rolling the dice here.
Yeah,
Rolling the dice.
I had the snake eyes going up front, but I just watched Squid Games, the actual the game show,
Yeah.
and they had to roll dice.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's like
Imagine,
if you get a 6, you have to nominate someone. You have to eliminate somebody, dude. That's fucking crazy. But yeah, that process is obviously I don't know a lot about it. Les published a book, and I saw what Chad did with his photo book and stuff, and I was always curious about the publishing process because I work in TV a lot, and it's just pretty everything gets approved, and things just go and you go and you go. But then it's like a book. I feel like there's a methodical, maybe lack of a better term, but a process that has to happen, and people sign off on these things, and it's the book is now your reputation and the publisher too, because if it they want to be hey, we're putting a good book here.
Yeah.
But and then negotiate. I want to talk about negotiation. Yeah, this is great. I'm down with this. You're gonna do this much for me. You're gonna do this many books. And then are you hey, do they tell you, hey, we think we'll sell this many, or you're hey, I want to print this many?
No, they just print it.
We'll do this many first.
Go.
If we hit this threshold at a certain time, we'll keep going again.
But then the one amazing thing about a book is that this is tangible immortality.
It's cash.
It's not like a video thing that's just gonna live on some screen somewhere for and it's not like a photograph on a screen that's you need a USB to access this or whatever. Right. You have this, you can pick it up, you can put it in your hands, and that's what I love about print and books.
Even when you gave it to me when the hallway's there, in the hallway we were getting here, I don't know. I don't really know people who've written books except for Les and a couple of people, but I was but when you gave it to me, I was like, oh man, this is Todd's book. It's this is a thing. If it was fiction, it'd be different. But I felt for some reason, it just was I wrote in it, and I'll read what you wrote in it. But I was man, Todd just gave me his book. It's kind of
you could read the front now, or read what I wrote to you.
So, Inside the Belly of an Elephant says February 2nd, 2004, today. It says, Ryan, thanks for helping keep the soul of Whistler alive and well. Love you, brother. Todd Lawson.
And that's
It doesn't need to be a lot. That's simple and awesome. Thanks, man.
Soul, brother.
Yeah. The picture on the front, it just seems like you kind of want to know what's going on here. This top, like I said, picture 1,000 words.
Yeah.
this one's how many? What did you say? 9? What did you say?
99.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's only. Yeah, I just feel like there's something to. It's like I mentioned cash earlier. It's like something that you get that you, if you let it go or put it down, you don't get to deal with it until you pick it up again.
Mm-hmm.
Audiobook, it's you just press play and it goes. But with a book, I feel like you've got to go pick it up and get into it.
Yeah.
And those, you're like, oh, okay, the first few pages, you got a momentum going, and you start to read. Okay, now you're in the story, and you're like kind of like sad when you get to, you're like, oh, last chapter, shit, I might put it down and wait a couple of days because when it's over, I got to find out what to do next.
I've had that a lot too. People want to savor. You want to savor it.
Yeah,
right?
Man. I think that's a part of it where it's got some good weight to it too. It's good.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is like it's the tangible stuff. We talked about photos and Instagram and going to parties and stuff earlier, and I want to bring that back to that. It's like the tangible part's kind of gone from a lot of things, and a book is only that. It's like it's not only that, but it's tangible where you have to open that first page and start. And like it's like never-ending story. It's like that kid kind of doesn't want to keep going, but keeps going, right?
Yeah.
And like it's a thing you can't just passively read a book, and if you can, I guess, but you have to do it. You can flip play and just start driving.
Yeah.
Signal, someone flips you the birds, you cut them off, and now that 15, 20 seconds is gone. You don't go back to it.
Yeah.
I'd be curious how many people reread or re-listen to a book versus reread a book. Because I don't know if that even, like if I listened to that book last week while I was driving to whatever. Okay, well, how much did you hear? How much did you listen to it? When you're reading a book, you can zone out, but then you get back into it and things bring you back in.
Yeah, and you know the awesome thing about books in today's digital realm is that they're not going away. Like books are thriving.
Yeah.
And books are just like there because people just love that, you know, like I want to get away from my phone. I want to get away from looking at the fucking screen.
Yeah.
Pick up a paper page that I can look and I can read it 6 times. I can reread it. I can look back. I can flip through it. I can, do all that stuff.
It's a discipline. So I just telling you, I read a book recently called, I won't mention it because your book's the priority here, but yeah,
okay.
I read it and I was like, I didn't almost want to pick it up because I almost wanted to be distracted by something else.
Yeah.
It took almost like a mental fortitude, I guess you could say, to pick up that book and get into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I forgot that I can imagine what's happening in my head as whatever way I want when I read this book. But you hear it, when you listen to it, you have to kind of like, that's why it should be in your voice if you read it again. If you want to record, I got the space for you for sure.
Yeah.
But like, I think there's something to that paper. And then, especially for you too, you have this thing now that's your history, part of your life, and it's like a tangible,
100%.
Thing that you put on the shelf and go, yeah, that was me and my brother and my wife and my family doing this thing that we did. And it's like, even just seeing it, it's like,
yeah, if my grandkids pick up this book and they want to know about their grandma and granddad, and
it brings back, like in 20 years when that book's read, the reading a book is going to be probably, it'll just be Neuralink putting your head in the book's read, right? Yeah. But that is like, it's almost like sitting in a rocking chair in front of a fire and stoking the fire. It's like old school. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to make it happen. Yeah. Yeah. That's dude. I mean, there must be a lot of. I mean, you must have a lot of pride. Did you think that it would get when you're like, I'm going to submit this? Were you like, it's not going to get published, or it's going to? Were you like, when you had some
yeah, totally nervous. I didn't want to go through that. Like, when you have an idea of something and you think it's great, or you write a book in this instance and you think it's good or whatever, you hope that someone's going to pick it up, or when I hired the agent, we were going after the big publishers and the big publishing houses and stuff, and they didn't bite, but whatever, like it's this is in front of me right now, it's published. I couldn't be happier.
You're pumped, man, for sure.
Yeah,
I think it's it's a huge feat to get that going, and now that story's just, it's out there, it's locked.
Yeah.
You can't get lost, like, online. Like, I wrote some stuff when I worked for Arctic, I wrote the stuff, and they changed the server, and now those stories are gone. Man, I don't even the paperwork I have, it's on a different computer, it's gone, but now that's just there.
Yeah.
It's there forever.
And I've had a couple people reach out to me about turning the book into a movie.
Oh, dude.
So...
I'll help you. I'm a producer. I'll help you with that.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
See what happens.
I mean, that's the thing. Is like, you're like, okay, you get these, like, okay, something, you just put something in the world.
Yeah.
And that world goes, okay, we want more of that.
Yeah.
Or we don't want any more of it. It's fine, whatever, you don't want any more. But like when someone says, I want more, you're like, whoa, shit, really? And then it's almost like it's almost maybe sometimes like frightening to go, wait, you want me to now step this up and do this in a movie thing?
Yeah.
Like, that must be.
But it's kind of the same thing as like today, for example, going skiing.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to it's raining all day and the people are like, oh no, it's shitty up there or whatever. And you don't know unless you go. And they're like, and if I wouldn't have written this, like, the same thing with this or anything you do, if you don't put it out there, you don't know, like nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. But if you go up there and you experience the magic of nature and you're skiing, it doesn't really matter. Like you're skiing, you're fucking having a good time. The sun comes out and it was puking up there and it was like the snow was pretty good instead of like listening to the people. It's going to be dust. It's going to be like, gnarly or whatever.
Whatever, snot on dust. But so, story, my brother was visiting this past week. He just left yesterday. He was here sleeping on my couch. And he's like, loves snowboarding. And we went up. And we're like, oh, what's going on? We'll have a lap, sit in the rendezvous. It's shitty out. We'll go and have a coffee and just hang out. We're up there. It's cool. And he's pumped because he's here. And so we go up there and...
is that when you guys got the POW on?
Yeah, I was going to say, dude, exactly the same thing. I'm like, hot POW. And you were messaging me.
Yeah.
That's how this podcast's going right now. And I was like, man, we should just go to our seventh heaven and see what's up. It's sunny now, whatever. Even if it sucks, we do a lap. We can say we did, but we can't say we did if we didn't because it's a lie. So then we go up there, and there's 4 of us in line, no one else.
Yeah.
Chairs aren't open.
Wow.
Don Ballot comes down, patroller. He's like, yeah, it's not bad up there, guys. Like, really? You're like, yeah. They open the gate. There's like, now there's 6 of us.
Yeah.
Go up the chair. Hot POW for like 2 laps. I'm like, fuck, dude. My brother was like, I'm pumped. He gets here once in a while. He lives in the south now in the hot weather, and he's like, man, that was killer. He's like, there's a little video I took, and he's like, I got to the bottom, he's psyched. And I'm like, he's snowboarded a bunch, been a lot, but I was like, man, he's like, 6 inches of hot POW was killer, man. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, if you don't, that whole thing, if you don't go, you don't know.
Yeah.
I think if you don't do it, you never know. So, I mean, I mean, whatever this means to you, but I commend the idea of like putting your emotions in life into pages and seeing what happens.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah, it's cool to see because like it's not so much the end results. A lot of people forget, like you said, 20 years of getting this thing, chipping away at it, and then doing it. You're like, man, it's real now. It's like a tangible thing. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I think, fuck, dude, I don't know. Most people don't do that. It's hard to put that out there.
So, I mean, everyone's got a story in them, whether it's a book or not.
Yeah, right.
But, you just keep adding to that story, and, one day it'll fucking be a book.
And everyone can relate. Like, even your story is like about, people can relate to a lot of things. Our world's full of crazy shit going on and just random shit. And, like, there's probably thousands of people who have a similar, loss and living and life and revisiting and making it happen that you just don't know about.
Yeah.
It's that right person. Like, that's why you get those messages.
Yeah, and primarily the book is about adventure motorcycle travel. Yeah. That's kind of the, but it's, if you dig deeper, it's like about so much more than that. It's about human connection and learning about people. And it's just like the education that you get from travel, of meeting people and seeing that everyone in the world, no matter where you're from, we all have dreams. We all have a story. Yeah. And we can all be closer together if we just like learn from each other and just like, hey man, what are you doing? What are you up to? What are you into? Like, what do you like doing?
Yeah. I think people get scared of interaction. I think people get scared of like opening up and be like, hey, if I talk to this person, they might ask me something or they might unleash something in me that I didn't want to hear about in my own brain or in your own thing. You're like, like I think, I've been through some accidents like stuff. I'm like, I talk to people, and honestly, the therapy of talking about something has helped me a bunch too. Like I went through a crash and people always ask me, I had a neck brace on for a while, and it was like a beacon of like, hey, this happened to somebody. Walks up in the village like, hey, this happened to me. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
You have these things where you can relate, but you just don't know what's going to come out of those conversations, and you could be like turned off or you could be turned on. So I think, man, I'm looking forward to reading it for sure, and I think it's got to be hard to put that out there. But you were doing it in celebration. I feel like, right? It was like
big time. Yeah, pretty much. That's a good way of putting it for sure. Like, you got to celebrate life. Yeah, life is hard sometimes, and life throws shit at you, and you're like, we all have been through that down the deepest of the depths. No matter what it is, if you're going through a breakup or you're a divorce or you lose your job or whatever, like we've all been there. And if we can have somebody at our back helping us through that and getting us through it and, finding the light at the end of that tunnel, then, you got something to look forward to. You got something to, today's another day, and you kind of like, time, like we said, time marches on. And if time marches on in a positive way, life becomes better.
I think the average of good and bad is where people live in this idea of like, hey, I've been through bad and not enough goods got me through the bad. And I went through some addiction stuff a few years ago, and like I realized that like people, if you're honest and upfront, people will say, yeah, it's cool, man. We're here for you. We didn't know this going on or whatever was going on in your life. And like, yeah, like we celebrate where you are now. And let's just keep moving forward. And I think that's like,
well said.
It's hard to put it out there. And I think like even this podcast for me, I was like, oh man, when I first put it out there, I was like, who cares? But who cares if no one cares? Who cares? Who cares? Just fucking do it. Who cares? Who cares? Like, somebody will care.
Well,
sure.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to you because, just doing this and sitting here with these headphones on and mics, we wouldn't normally talk like this for an hour.
I haven't seen you since the last time you were here or talked to you. Yeah,
and so we're just like going through this stuff, and it's just like, I don't care whoever's watching it. This is like between me and you. It's awesome. Yeah. People that are watching it, we love you.
Yes. I think the thing is too is like I care what you're doing, and I have friends who I don't talk to all the time. I think this whole thing now where people just send memes back and forth, but they've been friends for 30 years. They don't text or say hello, how's it going? How's your new kid? Congratulations on your new baby. I'm like, hey, check out this meme of this fucking lady falling downstairs. I had a buddy of mine, the guy who throws snowballs like a champion. He's like, he had a kid. I'm like, I never even said congratulations, but I said, hey, dude, you got an arm like a rocket. And I'm like, oh wait, by the way, congratulations.
Yeah.
Kid, right?
Yeah.
So we're about probably an hour and 10 in here right now.
Okay, cool.
We're going fast. But I think too, so you wrote this book and then you live an adventurous lifestyle. And you did this Freedom trip.
Yeah.
And I know it was different than we did here, but was that obviously inspired by what you've done in the past? And you took your daughter and your wife on this like motorbike with a sidecar, which is dope, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean, the way you went through shit and how your bike blew a cylinder or whatever else, it was trapped in Turkey or something.
Yeah.
And you're
nice.
like, we're like, what the fuck, we're screwed, kind of. But you're here now, so you weren't screwed, clearly, but it just sucked for the time or whatever. So that was inspired just by your love of the thing, or was there anything? Was there a link to? You obviously went back and kind of traced your steps, I guess, a bit in that book. But then you went back to Freedom Life. Was a different trip.
Yeah. So Christina and I
check out Freedom Life, Freedom on
freedom.life. I think on Instagram it is. Yeah. Christina and I had traveled through about 40 countries together.
Oh wow!
On motorcycles.
Yeah.
And we were totally addicted to that life from our first trip in Africa with me and Sean. So I introduced Christina to this.
Yeah.
Sean introduced me. I introduced Christina. We were having the time of our lives. And it's such an amazing way to travel because being on a motorcycle with all your shit on your back, you're 100% independent. You're not dependent on taxis, trains, buses, planes, nothing like that. Mm-hmm. It's just the road, the open road. And this was back before like GPS, before phone, but we didn't have iPhone, anything like that. No like finding your way. So we wanted to introduce our daughter to this world,
which is an incredible like experience, I can imagine.
Yeah, and so we were like 3 years of planning, saving, organizing, packing, planning, editing, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
Stack it on.
with the ultimate goal of introducing our daughter Sienna, who was 10 years old when we left, into this world.
Yeah.
So we chose Ireland to start with because it was a bit of a tracing our roots kind of trip. Okay. I'm Irish.
Yeah, same, buddy.
Jameson's here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Pilsner, I guess, whatever.
Beer. Yeah. Christina's Ukrainian and UK, so I'm Irish and Polish. Right. So we kind of wanted to
Irish and Polish, for sure.
Retrace those steps. Yeah. So we chose Ireland to start, India as the end game.
Yeah.
and didn't quite work out that way, but kind of. So but we just, we wanted to give this our experience to our daughter,
Sure,
as a seminal journey in her life as a young child. She's gonna take what she will.
Old
with
enough to
this.
remember it too, like where she'll keep it.
Yeah, it was kind of we went through that, and we were like, it kind of started because Christina wanted to travel around the Black Sea. She's like, maybe we can do a trip around the Black Sea. So we're like, okay, well, where is that, and how long is that going to take? And then we kind of just extended it. So my business partners, Johnny and Glenn, are awesome, and they're pretty supportive of me doing this and working remotely a little bit, and with Mountain Life, so I could still do that, which I'm super grateful for that, because and then so we just planned this, and when Sienna was 7 at the time when we started, we're like, okay, well, let's do it when she's 10. We are still the center of her world. She will still remember this. It won't be about just about her friends. When you're 13, it's like
It's different,
all about their friends. So, and then we had loads of friends, like from traveling in the last however many years, loads of friends in Europe and all those different places in the UK and stuff, right?
Keep going. I'm just checking the camera.
Okay. So we, the start of our trip was just mainly visiting friends and things along, friends and places along the way that we could either retrace or step in the foot of our ancestors, which was in like Dublin, which is where the Lawson side of things come from.
Okay,
And then Christina's last name is Toddle, and which comes from Tot Hill, this place in the UK.
Oh wow, okay, right.
Yeah, so we planned our first, this was like the first 4 months of the trip was like, visiting friends and just going, it was awesome because you would go and spend time with friends, reconnect with them, and they would just be like instant, when your brother comes to Whistler, for example, like you take him places and you show him things, and it's like he doesn't have to read a book about it or whatever. He just like, boom, you go and you get the awesome world-class tour, right? So that was really cool. But so it was like throwing our daughter into the everyday life of adventure travel on a motorcycle, and you're outside all the time. We're camping a lot. You've got wind and rain and cold and heat and sun and all the things. On a
motorbike,
right?
just pounding you.
All the things, and so you're always outside.
Right.
But it was just like she was so keen. She was like into it, because one of the fears that we had was like, what happens if we're like 2 months in and she's like done? You can't force her to come, right? They can't like force your kid, but. Luckily, she was keen every time. She was keen to just like keep going. Even days that we didn't want to ride, she was
like, "What are you guys doing? Let's go.
We gotta go. We gotta keep going."
There's an innocent ignorance that comes with being a kid, I guess, right? We forget about that. Like, if you're pumped, you don't know what's around the corner, and you haven't lived enough life to know what's around the corner. Let's just go. So it's probably a good motivation. You're like, wait, my kid wants to do this. What am I doing?
Totally. Yeah, I can remember days when we were like, this one day sticks out in our minds, and this was kind of like almost at the end of the trip in the last, like in the 10th month, maybe. We were riding through Italy, and this was in April. And through a high mountain pass, and it was like cold, and it was raining. And the higher we got, the colder it got, and the wetter we got. And Sienna like broke down. She was like freezing, and when you get the screaming barfies in your hands and shit, and when you're riding a motorcycle, it's like 10 degrees colder than just normal ambient air. And so we're just like, oh, holy fucking God, we gotta like pull over and deal with this, and just like we were cold too, like so the only saving grace was to warm our hands on the engine. Luckily
Dude,
we had
I didn't think about that.
Luckily we had like a little some hot tea that we had in our Stanley mugs. And we had one last layer of clothes for her, and that was like the tiny little turning point, right? And it was just like, when you have to turn the mental from the physical, like to the And we spent 15 minutes on the side of the road, had something to eat, warmed up, and then it was like we couldn't like go back. You know, there's no like going back and quitting or whatever. You have to just keep going, no matter what. And I think that's what she's probably gonna take with her. You know, it's just like that adaptation and.
So I'm saying, like the things you remember, like the small things you remember, are almost they add up to more than the big things. If you remember those small moments where, hey, my dad was like, we're in the middle of Italy and I was 10 and my hands were freezing. I was like, I'm over, and your dad's like, hey, I got more clothes for you, and you just solve problems, and you like the endearing factor of that to your kid hits you as much as it hits them. Right? You're like, I just kept my kid from losing their mind because we're in the middle of Italy and we're freezing our ass off. But like, yeah, that must be. Because you're also like the caregiver, the provider, you're like the protector. You're like, even to yourself and your wife, everything, right? And your wife's protecting you, and it's all going around, right? And almost like if you think back, you're like, I would guess like your kid makes you stop and go, oh shit, I can't. There are things that factors that aren't. We're just motoring along. I have to stop and go, hey, we gotta, as fast as we're going, we gotta slow down and figure out what's happening right now.
Yeah, and it was cool that like in her mind, she never said like, hey, mom and dad, can we like go home?
Yeah.
Like she just understood that we needed to just advance, and it's going to get better. Like, you know, we're going to descend and it'll get warmer probably. And whatever, right? When you're on the top of the pass, it's the coldest.
So wait, were you in Italy? My geography is brutes.
Yeah.
But like, I only know of Italy and the Dolomites.
Yeah.
In the mountain range. But you're in the Alps. Like where?
Well, we were in the. This is kind of like central Italy in a sense. Like we went to the Dolomites when we were in Italy, but this was like when we were in the Dolomites, it was August.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
And then when we came around back through Turkey, when we come around the other way to continue the loop, kind of, this was April.
Okay.
So it was like, you know,
could be any weather, anything could have happened. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. Wow.
And we had like, you know, it's kind of funny because basically the clothes you wear on a motorcycle in April in Italy are the same clothes you would wear to go skiing.
That's right. Okay.
Like, same shit, right? Yeah, it's like exactly.
You're just fighting whatever's coming your way.
Yeah, you're fighting it. So
yeah,
it's good that you said that about her having this stuff and remember it, because I imagine her like 10 years from now, she'll probably be in a podcast and be like, you know, when I was 10 years old.
Dude, it'd be awesome to talk to your daughter in like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and just chat.
Yeah.
Get these stories from her. Like,
totally.
My dad is fucking motoring along and he stopped. Like, it would be,
Yeah.
I mean,
because she's not like that introspective now.
Sure, right.
She'd probably just be like, how was your trip? Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know,
we
like,
got wet
whatever.
one day.
Yeah. But yeah. No, I'm stoked. Like, she'll have it in her back pocket for the rest of her life. It'll be part of her story. And who knows how she's going to take it.
I hang my niece and nephew a lot now, and I watch them grow, and they say the craziest shit. They're so insightful. You forget. I don't know a lot about. I don't have a kid, but like sometimes my niece, and now she's like 11 now, and I'm like, you're saying things to me like an adult would say to me. I get messages from her now. I'm like, is this your mom texting me right now? This is weird. But like, yeah, kids grow up, and you're in part of it. And I mean, when I think back to my childhood, there's things that stand out. Like one time my dad and I went fishing and he fell out of the boat. That's in my brain more than him being an awesome dude taking me fishing. I'm he fucking wiped out on the beach. It was hilarious. I was like, I might have been fucking 10. And I'm like, he tanked he stepped in the boat took off on his foot, he ate in the water. That to me, but that's so endearing. That makes me so happy.
But it's back to memories.
Yeah.
It's like, who knows how we're going to memorize things or what we're going to remember.
Yeah.
And it's like little things like that.
Yeah.
Like it's in the book that my dad died when I was 2.
Okay.
But the only memory I have of him is me and my brother jumping out of a pile of leaves.
Yeah, it's a split second
one memory.
It's maybe 10 seconds of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
But it stands out.
Yeah.
I think the same thing is like you don't know what's gonna just be that etched into your brain.
Yeah.
You don't know, and you can't plan for it. It just happens, and you're like, man, that memory. It's like, yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. We're taking a pee break. Technical difficulties, but or my lack of battery charging. We're back. So we're just gonna do a quick segue. Not a discount what's going on there, but I think we've dude, I could talk to you we could go till dawn here. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was saying earlier, Todd's got a lot of stuff going on here. Book, Mountain Life magazine. Obviously, you're crushing through that all the time. You got a few different, like you got the Georgian Bay one, you got the Rocky Mountain one, you got the annual.
Oh, the next one's coming out is going to be awesome. It's called the Royal Rumble issue.
Okay, yeah, sweet.
Squamish versus Whistler versus Pemberton.
Oh,
who reigns supreme?
Damn.
Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, it's like
that dropped today. Actually, the mag's out. You'll see it out tomorrow. Yeah.
That's kind of like saying what pizza is the best.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's no winner. But
I mean, depends where. Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so Mountain Life. If you're in Whistler, anywhere you are, if you're in the East, if you're in Ontario, you're in the Rockies, whatever, check out Mountain Life magazine. They've been going on for, dude,
20 years.
Thick too. It got thick again.
Yeah, I got thick.
Thick again.
Yeah. That's what she said.
Yeah, it got thick again. I mean, I was like, oh, because the other day I was checking. I'm like, oh, it got thick again. It's good, man. Good for you guys. That's great to see.
Thank you. Yeah.
But you're also so Todd does lots of stuff, but you're also doing so Rise. It's Rise Innovations. What's
Rise Outdoor Innovation?
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah. That's the official name.
Yeah. So
Rise
I know a little bit
Outdoor.
about it, but it's focusing on like tents and shelter and like give me some. I know it's up,
Yeah.
but you're not really. It's not really out there.
No, it's not out yet.
It's in development, right?
So I'll give you the kind of the.
All right, hot take.
So I got sick and tired of the amount of time and the hassle it took
putting up a tent
to put up a tent and to blow up the mattress.
Right. Okay.
Right, with your mouth, and you get lightheaded, and just like, especially if you had to do that for two people.
Yeah.
So we were sitting on the banks of the Thompson River one day, and it was my turn to like actually take down the tent.
Yeah.
So you gotta, when you gotta deflate the mattress, you gotta lay on it, and then you gotta kneel on it, and then you gotta like roll it up, and then you gotta do that again. Then you gotta do that, and then you gotta find the stuff sack and put that thing in the stuff sack and do that again. And there's all these kind of things, and then put the tent away and the poles and the pegs and the blah blah blah. So I was like, there must be a better way.
There's a better way. There's a quicker way.
A better mousetrap.
Yeah.
So I timed it. We have been timing it for the last 3 years of the amount of time it takes to set up a tent and put up blow up 2 mattresses or one big mattress, whatever, for 2 people. Yeah. It's between, and if you know your stuff, if you know your gear, it's between 22 and 30 minutes.
No shit, really, eh?
Yeah.
I would have, I never even, who does that timing?
Right.
I knew, yeah.
And, factor in if you're with your girlfriend, spouse, wife, whatever, and you're hangry and your kid's running over the place and you're trying to set up your tent. Like, it's not a good situation, right? It's not.
Yeah.
So
my brother's going to appreciate this for sure. Yeah.
So my solution that I'm trying to bring to the world is an all-in-one, fully integrated system, outdoor sleep system.
Yeah.
Where the tent is integrated with the mattress.
Okay. Yeah.
So that when you get to camp, you're going to be able to plug it. You're going to put the hose.
Sure.
The inflation system.
Hose. Right, sorry.
Into the tent.
Yeah.
And you're going to inflate it in 90 seconds.
Okay.
Instead of 22 to 30 minutes.
Right. And you got tent poles and shit's always going sideways. And
none of that stuff. So it's a fully inflatable system. It's rugged enough. It's going to be puncture resistant. So you're not going to have to worry about that. And, it's going to be quite a high-end product. So you're not going to have to worry about, like I said, punctures, anything like that. So what I'm trying to bring to the world is this system that is just hassle-free. There's no hassles to this thing. You're going to be able to hit a button, inflate it, boom. There's your beautiful camp system.
Yeah. Cool.
Right? Yeah. So you can spend more time fishing. You can spend more time riding your bike. You can spend more time building a fire. You can spend more time making cocktails instead of having to worry about your system.
Is it like a car camping thing, or is it you try to? Yeah, okay. So it's like full like.
Yeah, I'm not targeting the ultralight backpacker
That's
crowd
kind
at
of
all.
That'd be tough for
No,
sure.
yeah, no. This is like it's not going to be super bulky or whatever. But
Sure.
I'm trying to just work out those details right now as far as the
We'll fit on a motorbike, I guess.
The final way. I'm hoping, yeah. Because when you're traveling, it's kind of like a road tripping tent in a way, right?
Yeah,
because even if you're going across Canada, for example, in your car, and you got to camp every night.
Yeah.
The amount of time that takes, and you kind of like, I don't want to set up my camp. I'll just stay in a hotel and spend more money.
That's easy when you're by yourself. But when you got a family of kids, you're like, I need to get shit sorted out. And I can't be dinking around with whatever else going on.
Yeah. So, this is going to be pull your tent out, hit the button on the pump, boom, done.
Yeah.
You can do other stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's where it's coming.
So where are you at with the process right now? Are you like, I saw some, you've had a few innovations. You've had to go back and forth, I think, a few times. I remember you saying you saw some of your prototypes and you weren't stoked, so you went back. And I've just been following, as much as I can.
Yep.
Because it's been somewhat, not tight-lipped, but you're showcasing when you can, when it's worth showcasing. But like, what's your, you're like, I got to have this done by whatever date, or you just like, keep going till it's right?
Well, exactly. I'm 100% focused on the product right now.
Yeah, good, cool.
And I've chosen to go down the path of bringing people along for the ride.
Yeah, that's really great because
the highs and lows, not just showing them, hey, here's my final finished beautiful product.
Yeah, believe in me now. Yeah.
Here's the highs and lows that go into everything behind it, because I'm new to this game. Yeah. I'm not a product designer. So it's kind of like, I'm in that fake it till you make it kind of imposter syndrome, whatever. I'm dealing with all that stuff. And I don't think that's really so valid, because everyone's got to start somewhere. Like, everyone's got to start somewhere, right?
Right.
So I'm just in full on 100% student learning mode right now. Like, learning as much as I can, talking to people. I went to the factory in China, like, to see how it's done. And it's like super interesting. So, but yeah, I'm super focused on the product, because the product is everything. Like, the validity. Everyone, if you're buying something in today's day and age, you're probably going to look at the reviews.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. Everything. So if I put out something that's lackluster off the hop, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
But if I put out something that's going to wow the industry, that's going to wow the people, that's going to wow the camping segment, that's what I want to do.
You know what's interesting about this? The thing about what you're doing here, and I've worked with brands before in the past, and everyone puts a product out and then tells you the story of how it got there. You're telling us it's going, and I feel like that's pretty unique in the situation, because you're like, I'm willing to be embarrassed and show my hiccups and everything else. Yeah. And it's like, there's an honesty behind that, where someone's like, hey, Kickstarter, we have an idea. Here's our story. It's the reason why I don't do marketing much more, because the story thing, I get it, but how inflated is it? Lack of a better term. No pun intended. Yeah. But like, how is that story? How true is it? Everyone's this honesty thing. But when you're showing, hey, this week for this product was bad, and this week was awesome. Like, I think that's kind of cool. It's just trying to amplify that story, get it out there. But if you're showing it as you're going, then someone's seen you make 3 or 4 versions and go, hey, he must be onto something now, because now he's putting it out there. And, the more you show the ups and downs, the more I can, in my mind, I can respect the end product. Yeah. So I'm like, I've seen what's going on. If you do a polished story of how it got there, I'm like, I don't know how really. I have to just pretend that it's fine. But sometimes I feel like these brands tell stories that it's like, well, this is what you tell us now, but I would love to have seen it go from start to finish, or start to now. And
and I'm not making, like, inflatable tents have been around for a while. Like, I'm not making any claims that I'm the first on that, or, I just love camping.
Right.
I love the feeling that you get from camping. I love when you're sitting on some, like, mountain beach.
Sure.
And you hear a loon. You're by the fire, and there's just, like, nothing better than that. It's just like, it's not a competition. Yeah. It's one of the few things I find that you can do outdoors. It's not a competition. It's like mountain biking, you got to do this trick and this and that. But camping is just like camping. It's been around for thousands of years.
People have been sleeping on the ground by a fire for...
under a piece of, like, cloth.
A cave.
Right? Right. And it's just like...
It's called caveman.
It's awesome. Yeah. And it's just like... But a lot of people don't go camping because they don't get a good sleep.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So I'm because I have, like, a wall-to-wall mattress inside this thing, you don't roll off it. If you're sleeping with your wife or your partner, you can spoon. And if spooning goes...
Are you the big spoon or little spoon?
Spooning tends to lead to other good places. Forking.
It's funny.
So, yeah, like, I really genuinely care about people getting a good sleep outside and just having a really good experience with their gear. Yeah. Because, we all know, we're in this mountain community.
Sure.
We all have stuff that enables us to do this. Yeah. And I think that the true unsung heroes of what we do are people who make things.
Yeah.
Like people who
craftsmen. I mean, it's like blacksmith. They're like
exactly
they're the backbone of society at some point in our world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I think those people don't get enough credit for bringing stuff into life, because those are the people that are entering the ring.
Yeah.
They're not the critics that are sitting on the outside and saying, oh, why didn't you put this zipper over here or whatever?
Dude, I've heard that a million times. Yeah.
Right. So
I say it all the time. Right.
I just, whether my idea or my product fails or whether it's a great success, I just know that I'm loving this process. I'm in it. I'm in deep. I'm committed, and we'll see where it goes.
You're a learner and an experiencer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like the way you learn to experience to learn. And I've watched this thing over the time. It's only been like a year, a couple years. I've seen it publicly. Like you've been showcasing what you've been doing, the failures and successes. And I think there's those dudes who take pride in here's the shit I have. Here's the tool I have for this. Here's the thing I have for this. And I think it's one of those things where, people will gravitate towards it because it's like, it's new, but it's also like, I can make camping at 20% easier because of this, or whatever it is, easier because of this. And I think some people sometimes, like, everyone's like, I can put up a tent. Who cares? It's not a big deal. I'll put up a tent. If you can just solve a quick problem or a quick thing that lets somebody go and have the beer, or like, throw the fish with their kid and go jump in the ocean with their kid with the tent up.
Totally.
Or they know they can put the tent up in the pissing rain. They can go to the beer first because it's like plug it in, let it go. The problem with people going camping, they get drunk first and their tent's fucked.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, but I don't even care. Like, you could go to Home Hardware, buy a tarp for $20 and a piece of rope, and that could be your tent.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. Just do it and get out there. Like, I don't care if you buy my tent.
Yeah.
But my tent, if you do choose to buy it, is going to be this like wicked outdoor abode where you're like, you don't have to worry about getting wet because it's going to be fully 100% waterproof.
It looks dope too, like kind of like the round domey thing. It looks good.
Yeah, the tunnel style. You're gonna have this amazing view out the back and the front, and the match is gonna be super comfortable. But I just want people to go camping, because I've had so many experiences growing up camping, camping on the road, camping in all different countries in the world, and it's just like it's like a fundamental thing in life. It's just like it brings you back to your roots. It's like pure authenticity. It's just like sleeping under the stars.
That story I told you, my dad wiping out in the boat. We were camping.
Yeah,
it was awesome. We were like 6 Mile Lake in a really or something like that. I remember the whole location. He just wiped out the boat. That's the camping memory.
Yeah,
that's what I'm like. That it's just like, I don't know. It's all. I think for you, it's all about being outdoors.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
You're like you're an outdoor guy.
Well, I love nature. Like I love like,
because we can't control it. It's just there. We're there to be part of it. We can't do anything with it.
Yeah,
we just have to be there to part of it. And if we can be some kind of symbiotic thing with it and make it easy for us to be in it and not have us fight against it, just be part of it.
And I think the one cool challenge is to find those wicked campsites. Like,
Everyone
I'm not
loves
such a big fan of like paying to camp on a gravel patch.
Right.
That's one
Get
thing,
an
and
RV.
I think that's okay. Like, I think a lot of maybe people that live in the city that don't get to experience nature on a daily basis like we do, which we're super lucky to get to do that. Yeah. People that come from the city that want to escape and they go to, like, say, Nairn Falls. Yeah. Which is a beautiful campsite.
Killer, yeah, it's good.
But you're camping on gravel. But whatever, if you can just get there, set up your stuff and enjoy it. Like, it's just all about enjoying.
If you're camping on gravel, just make it easy.
Yeah.
What you're gonna do. Like, I don't want to make it. I don't want to camp on gravel and hard to do it. If I'm camping in the middle of the mountain somewhere and it's difficult, sure, make it hard because I got there. Yeah. If I'm going to pull up and park, don't make it hard. Yeah. Just let me put up my tent in 10 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever, and get it done with. Yeah. Yeah, I think.
So that's what I'm. That's what I'm trying to do. Just make that process a bit simpler. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, we've talked about a bunch here, and I think like the Rise is. Rise Outdoor Innovations. That was called. Yeah. I mean, I hope it works for you. I think it will. I think it's cool. And I think everything you're doing is like, it's an inspiration to people, and just to like, even just I think it's cool to see how inspired you are. It doesn't need to impact me or anybody else. I think it's like knowing someone who's like, okay, what am I gonna do next? What's the next? I'm gonna take this little challenge, and it's going to be a small hurdle, not a challenge. Just jump over it, keep going. I think that's like inspiring, and it's hard to find in people, because right now we're like, most of our world's like next thing, turn and burn. I don't care about, and or just fucking depression, I think. But if you can keep motivated, man, it's really, being motivated in this world, I think right now is a bit of a feat, because it's hard to stay, and seeing everybody else doing great things, it's hard to be like, hey, I'm going to fail twice, but this third time it's going to be awesome. I'm going to get there. It's inspiring. And then, I mean, to put that many words into a book and just be able to jump that emotional hurdle and be there and make it happen, and, honor somebody in your life, a family member, your brother, who's, and I think, I don't know. I mean, there's inspiring people in this world, and I think you're one of them. Yeah.
Cheers,
and I appreciate
buddy.
it, man. It's cool. And I think, I hope everything goes well. Hopefully you have success in the tent, and I hope your book's doing great. So, hope I see you on the mountain at some point.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
For sure.
Love you, bro.
Todd Lawson, everybody.
Ryan Proctor, everybody. Yeah.
All right, Todd Lawson. If you want to check him out, you can find him on Instagram. You can find him at Freedom Life. And do you have an Instagram for the
Inside the Belly. Rise Outdoor.
Yeah.
On Instagram, and then Inside the Belly.
You can find him, and definitely check it out. Check out his book on Amazon. And when you make a review, just tell him to read it. And the audiobook has got to be his own book.
Yeah. Here we go. That's the next challenge.
Okay, well, cheers, buddy. Thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll chat soon for sure.